My sixth biggest challenge is... Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is CRAIGO and I'm a fully qualified chartered management accountant. Today we are going to be talking about the biggest challenges of the case study exam. Many students will argue that the case study exams are in fact the hardest exams on the syllabus. So that's why I feel like we give it all the due care and attention that it deserves. Whether you are sitting operational, management or strategic case study, then trust me, you want to be watching this very video. So I am going to give you my top 6 challenges for the case study exam right here, right. And in at number 1 is the time management complexity of the exam. You have 3 or 4 questions depending on whether you are sitting the operational, management or strategic case study. Within these 4 questions, each question could be split into 2 to 3 parts. And failing to allocate a substantial amount of time to answer each individual question could mean that you fall short on the amount of marks that you pick up. Because you've got to remember that you don't just need 80 out of 150 marks, but you need a minimum of 33% of the exams on each competency that is examined within the case study. And if in one area you don't get the amount of marks that you need, then you are going to fail your exam, even if you get above 80 on the total exam. In at number 2, the difficulty of identifying the marks. So as I said, you will have 3 or 4 questions in your exam, all worth either 33 or 25 marks, depending on how many questions you've got within the exam. But each of those questions are going to be made up of probably 2 examinable areas. And what you will need to be able to do is to understand how many marks each element of the question is worth, and then that will enable you to distribute your time among the questions. So let's say that you have on strategic case study a 33 mark question. So if the first part of the question is worth 16 to 17 marks, you give yourself half an hour. If then the second sub-question is made up of 16 to 17 marks in a 10 to 7 favour, then you will need to weight your timings roughly 20 minutes and 10 minutes to each part of that question. And that will mean it will give you enough time to collect as many marks as possible without overrunning on one section, meaning that you are not running out of time to pick up enough marks in order to get that minimum of 33% on each competency. CIMA have a set essay structure and style that you are required to write in order to get your marks. So you need to make sure that you are making your point, finding some evidence, applying it to the case, the question, or the industry or the business that you're working in, and giving a final statement on what does this mean for your company. And if you follow that structure, then you'll pick the marks up. But failing to have a structure, a strategy, failing to apply your answer to the question will mean that you are not able to pick up the marks that you need in order to pass the exam. Number 4, a significant amount of theory that you need to know in order to pass your exam. Further you go throughout the syllabus, the more theory and the more knowledge you are going to have. And although you won't be examined directly on theory like you are at the operational level, you will need to be aware of all the different techniques and calculations that you potentially used at your operational management level. And because when you sit in that strategic level case study, you will have already sat 15 exams, and you will need to have a full and comprehensive understanding of the whole entire syllabus. Given the significant amount of theory and knowledge that you will need to know in order to sit your case studies, it presents a massive challenge when it comes to you trying to pass your case study exam. In at number 5, the ongoing fatigue on the exam day itself. You go into your exam, you stroll in, you're confident, you've got all the energy in the world, you sit question 1, you smash it. You get to question 3, 2 hours into your exam, already you're tired, you've got brain fog, your mind is getting more and more confused, frustrated at your previous questions. It's a massive challenge. You need to learn to work for 3 hours. You need to learn to put behind you what you have done on question 1 and question 2. You need to have that game plan in your mind. Don't let one half of one question interrupt your flow for the rest of that exam. Work as hard as you can, get your structure in there so that you can get as many marks as possible, and just make sure you get above 33% on every single question. You can go through an exam, not perform too well at a couple of halves of questions, and still get the 80 marks that you require to pass that exam. And then my 6th biggest challenge is waffle. Waffle is when you start rambling on without having any purpose behind what you're writing. Waffle does not get you marks. Leave the waffles in the freezer at home. You don't need waffle in your case study exam. So you need to be sure that every sentence you write has purpose, it has quality, and it is earning you marks. And the way to avoid waffle is to have the P structure at the front of your mind all times. What's your point? What's your evidence? And what's your application? And then to finalise, what does that mean for your company? Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.